everyone, this is your nurse Wina. Welcome back to my channel. In this presentation, I will share to you some gastrointestinal notes with real-time NCLEX question and answer. Don't forget to subscribe on my YouTube channel and follow me on my Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok account. But before we go with our presentation, let's take a look on the functions of our digestive system.
Hey everyone, let's explore the incredible journey of food through the digestive system. It all begins in the mouth. We chew our food, and saliva starts breaking it down. Next, the food travels down the esophagus, a tube that connects your mouth to your stomach. In the stomach, food is mixed with powerful acids and enzymes, turning it into a mushy soup. Then it moves to the small intestine, where most of the nutrients are absorbed into your blood. Finally, the leftover waste goes to the large intestine, where water is absorbed, and what's left is prepared to exit your body. And that's how your body turns food into energy. Keep your digestive system happy with healthy foods.
And what are those medical conditions related to our digestive system? Let's go! Dumping syndrome, it is a common complication of Roux-en-Y gastric bypass. It happens 5 to 30 minutes after eating, and the patient should have a small frequent feeding to avoid dumping syndrome. Lie down few minutes after eating. The fluid should be taken 30 minutes before or after. Signs and symptoms: sweating and pallor, which is the first signs and symptoms to observe. Vertigo, syncope, and palpitation. To avoid dumping syndrome, the patient who undergone Roux-en-Y gastric bypass should have an increased protein, fats, and cholesterol, but decrease in carbohydrate diet. Avoid irritants like milk, sugar, and salt. The patient should take some supplement, iron, and calcium. So, cobalamin injection and other vitamins. The next is cystic fibrosis, located in the left upper quadrant. It releases the insulin enzymes to metabolize the food. Amylase, inflammation of the pancreas due to blockage, eventually cause damage and rupture that can lead to hemorrhage. Then blood can go to the peritoneum that can cause peritonitis and also affects the lungs, acute respiratory distress syndrome. What are those enzymes like amylase, lipase, and protease? These are the stomach acids, activate them in the duodenum, while the islets, it's the one who produce insulin and glucagon. Cystic fibrosis, it affects the pancreas and the respiration. It is from the word cystic, so it means it's thick mucus overproduction. Obstruction in the pancreatic duct that can lead to the impairment of the release of enzyme, amylase, lipase, and protease. Malabsorption of protein, fats, carbs, and vitamin A, D, E, and K. What are the signs and symptoms? Steatorrhea, diarrhea, cramping, flatulence. And then the management is pancreatic enzymes. So the patient should take pancreatic enzyme. Take before the meal and snacks. Don't chew. It needs to activate only in the duodenum. Can open the capsule and sprinkle on a tablespoon of applesauce. So the management is pancreatic enzyme, and it should be taken before meals or snack. It should not be chewed. It needs to activate only in the duodenum. Can open the capsule and sprinkle on a tablespoon of applesauce. So always remember how to take the pancreatic enzyme. Crohn's disease, it affects all layers, either the mucosa or the serosa. GI, small and the large intestines, found from the mouth going to the anus. It is a known cause. What are the common for Crohn's and ulcerative colitis? It is an inflammatory bowel disease. There is an inflammation. Ulcers can have remission or exacerbation. It increases the risk for colon cancer. Cure include total colectomy and bowel resection with ostomy. Where is the pain? terminal ileus or on the right lower quadrant. What is the diet if a patient has Crohn's disease? Decreased fiber but increase in protein. Increased fluid, no irritating foods. What are the signs and symptoms? Diarrhea, dehydration, electrolyte imbalance or loss, malnutrition, weight loss, anemia, there is a decrease in hemoglobin and hematocrit. Abdominal pain, anorexia or decrease in appetite, malabsorption, deficiency on vitamin A, D, E, and K. Taken if you have Crohn's disease, it should rest the GI, so NPO, IV fluid, and NGT. Corticosteroids like sulfasalazine, it is an immunosuppressant. It treats the inflammation. Aminosalicylate expects yellow to orange urine. It absorbs at the colon, may crystallize in the kidney, and then monitor for dehydration. Urine-specific gravity should be normal, 1.010 to 1.030. Azathioprine. And then complication, fistula, strictures, or obstruction, and anal fissure. Ulcerative colitis, it affects the mucosa of the GI, more often on the large intestine and rectum, caused by stress, and the pain is located on the rectum or left lower quadrant. What are the signs and symptoms of ulcerative colitis? Diarrhea, so there's a presence of blood 10 to 20 times. Anemia, decrease in hemoglobin and hematocrit. There is an abdominal pain, anorexia or decreased appetite, malabsorption of vitamins A, D, E, and K, mucosal irritation during remission, and loss of form of house tract. So what are the management? Nutrition and hydration. No irritating and gas-forming food. Avoid triggers like milk, fatty food, caffeine, alcohol, and nuts. What are the medicines to be taken if you have ulcerative colitis? Corticosteroids like sulfasalazine. Rest the GI through NPO, IV fluid, and NGT. Diet, decrease the fiber once diet resume. Increase protein, increase calorie to prevent weight loss. Increase fluid. Vitamins and with calcium. Diet journal. Azathioprine is an immunosuppressant and anti-inflammatory, used to prevent organ rejection during kidney and liver transplant. Used for Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. Don't give to patient with leukopenia or decreased immunity. So what are the complications? Toxic megacolon, bleeding, obstruction, abscess, perforation, or in short, peritonitis. The next one is diverticulitis. Diverticulitis is the infection of the inflammation of the pouches, inflammation due to foreign object or fecality. Diverticulosis is a small pouch or diverticula or pocket in the wall of lining of any portion of the digestive tract. It is asymptomatic due to increased intra-abdominal pressure. Common cause, chronic constipation. While diverticulitis is the infection or inflammation of those pouches, inflammation due to foreign object or fecality. What are the signs and symptoms? Unrelenting cramping type pain, blood in the stool, fever, constipation, abdominal bloating due to obstruction. What are the management? Avoid high fat and red meat. No increased intra-abdominal pressure or example is heavy lifting. To prevent diverticulitis, the diet should be increase fiber. And if you have diverticulitis, the diet should be decrease in fiber. Increase fluid, exercise regularly, and fiber supplement. The next one is cholecystitis. It is an inflammation. The bile digests fats to become adec, uses bilirubin as vehicle. What are the risks? Female, obese, old, has previous history, pregnancy, Native American, or Mexican American. So those are the risks for having cholecystitis. What are the signs and symptoms? Pain on the right upper quadrant radiating to the right shoulder. Morphe, positive if with pain. Ask patient to exhale, then while inhaling, press the gallbladder. If there is a pain, it is positive Murphy sign. NPO, if patient starts to vomit, greenish yellow stomach content or bile. Jaundice, there is a light stool, steatorrhea, fever, bloated, increase in heart rate. What are the diagnostic exam to confirm for cholecystitis? Ultrasound or CT scan, hepatobiliary immunodiacetic acid scan. Then the management is ERCP, ectomy or cholecystectomy, and the T-tube. Refeeding syndrome, it happens to patients with chronic malnutrition and anorexia nervosa, chronic alcoholic who have not eaten for many days, little nutritional replenishment. Signs and symptoms, glucose, sodium will go out in the blood, so due to increase in insulin. Low potassium, phosphorus, magnesium, it will go inside the cell. Normal potassium 3.5 to 5.5, phosphorus is 2.4 to 4.4, magnesium 1.5 to 2.5. What are the prevention? Electrolytes and gradual increase in calories. Colostomy. If the patient is having the colostomy, ostomy done on the left side, lower quadrant, below the belt, so it will not interfere with dressing. For the first 3 days, it is red. After 3 days, it is pinkish. Expected after colostomy, pink to brick red, minor bleeding, swelling to 2 to 3 weeks, rosy with no stool. The colon is emptied before the procedure. Management. Colostomy doesn't interfere with sex. Just make sure to clean prior. Only irrigate in descending colostomy. Avoid gas-forming food. Increase fluids to 3 liters per day. Stool on the ascending colon, it is liquid. Transverse colon, semi-liquid. Descending colon, formed stool. For the ileostomy, the stool is liquid. If new, low residue diet. If healed, high fiber diet. Make sure to chew the food. Report if there is pale, dusty, cyanotic, edematous ostomy. Report if you notice pale, dusty, cyanotic, edematous ostomy. The wafer should be about 1/16 inches larger than the stoma. The pouch should be replaced if 1/3 full and irrigate after meal. Enteral tube feeding. It preserves mucosa gut, lessen the bacteria movement, and prevent stress ulcer. What are the risks? Hyperglycemia. Check the blood glucose and aspiration. Aspiration precaution if patient is intubated, mechanical vent, and endotracheal cuff must be inflated. 25 centimeter water and then suction the patient. Elevate the head of the bed 30 degree and above. Assess GI intolerance every 4 hours for abdominal distension and residual volume. Hold if it is more than 400 ml and continue if it is less than 400. Assess the tube placement, gastric residual pH. Caution with sedation. NGT insertion landmark. It should be from the tip of the nose to the tip of the ear up to xiphoid process. For the test taking, if there is a machine problem, always check first the patient. Total parenteral nutrition, TPN. It should be rich in glucose, amino acids, and other nutrients. Ingredients, trace minerals, regular insulin IV, electrolytes, and multivitamins. Preparation for the TPN. Remove solution from the refrigerator 1 hour prior to warm. Don't flush the IV line. Don't irrigate with heparin. Use clean gloves to change the bag. Compare every ingredient with HCP order management during TPN. Covering blood glucose levels with sliding scale or regular insulin. Inspect solution to ensure layering of content is absent. Don't adjust the rate every shift. Change injection cups on IV tubing every 72 hours. Monitoring liver function test. Check prealbumin level to check effectivity of the TPN. What are the risks of TPN? Infection and hyperglycemia. Confirm X-ray report of correct catheter placement. Sudden stop can lead to hypoglycemia. The infusion rate, not more than 24 hours. If exceed, need to replace TPN and entire tubing. What is PEG or percutaneous endoscopic gastrostomy? It is a large bore tube to administer feedings and medication. It is a flexible feeding tube placed through the abdominal wall and into the stomach, bypassing the mouth and the esophagus. The patient is conscious sedation only during the insertion. It is not a major surgery. It does not involve opening of the abdomen. The tract matures 1 to 2 weeks. It matures after 4 to 6 weeks and can be used. If dislodged, report immediately. During your NCLEX examination, you will not only encounter diseases, but different procedures that requires your understanding how to manage that to your patient, like the PEG, TPN, NGT, ostomy. It is very important for you to go back to your fundamentals. It's quiz time. Let's put your knowledge to the test. Let's start. Question number 1. An adult diagnosed with celiac disease 3 weeks ago was placed on a gluten-free diet. The client returns for ambulatory care follow-up, reports continuation of symptoms, and does not seem to be responding to therapy. Which is the best response by the nurse? Number 1, I will refer you to the dietitian. Number 2, it should take about 6 to 8 weeks before you see improvement in your symptoms. Tell me what you have to eat yesterday. You must not be following your diet. 10 seconds to answer the question. And the correct answer is number 3. To know the food eaten and to identify if the patient is following the instruction. Question number 2. The school creates a cafeteria menu for a newly enrolled child with celiac disease. Which lunches would be appropriate for this child? Select all that apply. Number 1, beef barley soup with mixed vegetables and French bread. Number 2, grilled chicken, baked potato, and strawberry yogurt. Number 3, Mexican corn tacos with ground beef and cheese. Number 4, peanut butter and jelly on rice cakes with an oatmeal cookie. Number 5, rice noodles with chicken and broccoli. 10 seconds to answer the question. And the correct answer are number 2, number 3, and number 5. Why number 1 is incorrect? Because of barley. And why number 4 is incorrect? Because of oatmeal. For a patient with celiac disease, barley, rye, oats, and wheat are all contraindicated. Celiac disease can process the gluten because there is a damage in the villi in the intestine. Not able to absorb fats and nutrients can lead to malabsorption. Question number 3. Which of the following statements made by the mother of a child recently diagnosed with celiac disease indicates a need for further teaching? Number 1. I will need to read the labels of all processed food. It is okay if my child eats rice, corn, and potatoes. Number 3. My child can have small amounts of food containing wheat as long as she remains symptoms-free. Number 4. My child will need to be on a gluten-free diet for the rest of her life. We need to look for the incorrect health teaching for this client. You have 10 seconds to answer the question. Correct answer is number 3. My child can have small amounts of food containing wheat as long as she remains symptoms-free because wheat is contraindicated if the patient has celiac disease. Question number 4. The nurse is admitting a client with cholelithiasis and acute cholecystitis. Suddenly, the client vomits 250 ml of greenish yellow stomach contents and reports severe pain in the right upper quadrant with radiation to the right shoulder. Which intervention would have the highest priority? Number 1, administer promethazine 25 milligrams suppository. Number 2, infuse normal saline 100 ml per hour. Number 3, insert nasogastric tube to low suction. Number 4, maintain nothing by mouth or NPO status. So what is the highest priority for a patient who is suspected with cholelithiasis and acute cholecystitis? You have 10 seconds to answer the question. And the correct answer is number 4. The patient manifests symptoms which is possible for surgery. The patient manifests symptoms which is possible for surgery. Then the correct answer is number 4, to maintain the patient in NPO, which is the highest priority. Number 1 is anticholinergic, while number 2 and number 3 is also needed but not the highest priority. Number 5, during the immediate post-operative after a colostomy, which stoma appearance requires the nurse to contact the healthcare provider immediately? Number 1, brick red with slight moisture noted. Number 2, dusky with moderate edema present. Number 3, pink with slight oozing of blood. Number 4, rosy with no stool produced. 10 seconds to answer the question. And the correct answer is dusky with moderate edema present. Always report the stoma if it is pale, dusky, cyanotic, and edema. Number 1, number 3, and number 4 is normal to a stoma. Question number 6. The mother of a 6-year-old child with cystic fibrosis has received instruction on the use of pancreatic enzymes. Which statement made by the mother indicates a need for further teaching? So we are looking for the incorrect statement or instruction to the patient. So what is on this on the following options, what is incorrect? I need to monitor the total amount of this medication that I give to my child every day. I should give this medication with or just before my child has a meal or a snack. It is okay for my child to chew this medication. It is okay to open the capsule and sprinkle the medicine on a tablespoon of applesauce. 10 seconds to answer the question. And the correct answer is number 3. It is okay for my child to chew this medication. It is not allowed to chew. It should take effect into the small intestine. So it can be sprinkled in the tablespoon of applesauce, but it cannot be chewed. Number 7, a client receiving total parenteral nutrition complains of nausea, abdominal pain, and excessive thirst. What is the best action for the nurse to take? Number 1, assess the client's vital sign. Check the client's blood glucose. Report the findings to the healthcare provider. Slow down the rate of infusion. You have 10 seconds to answer the question. And the correct answer is number 2. We need to check the sugar to check for hypoglycemia. Question number 8. The nurse is caring for debilitated client with a percutaneous endoscopic gastrostomy PEG tube that was inserted 3 days ago for the long-term administration of enteral feedings and medication. While the nurse is preparing to administer the feeding, the tube becomes dislodged. What is the most appropriate intervention? Number 1, insert the Foley catheter into the existing tract and inflate the balloon. Number 2, insert a small bore nasointestinal tube to administer feedings and medication. Number 3, notify the healthcare provider who inserted the PEG tube. Number 4, reinsert the PEG tube into the existing track immediately. You have 10 seconds to answer the question. And the correct answer is number 3. You need to notify the healthcare provider who inserted the PEG tube to secure the order for reinsertion. Question number 9. A client with a history of diverticular disease is being discharged after an episode of acute diverticulitis. Which instructions should be included in the discharge stitching plan to reduce the risk of future episodes? Select all that apply. Number 1, drink plenty of fluids. Number 2, exercise regularly. Number 3, follow a low residue diet. Number 4, include whole grains, fruits, and vegetables in the diet. Number 5, increase intake of red meat. 10 seconds to answer the question. And the correct answer are number 1, number 2, and number 4. Number 1 is drink plenty of fluid, exercise regularly, and include whole grains, fruits, and vegetables in the diet. Why number 3 and number 5 is incorrect? Because low residue diet if there is inflammation, and red meat should be avoided. Question number 10. The nurse cares for a client with ulcerative colitis who is having abdominal pain and more than 10 bloody stools per day. Which of the following interventions should be included in the client's plan of care? Select all that apply. Number 1, administer prescribed analgesic medications as needed. Number 2, encourage the client to discuss feelings about illness. Number 3, initiate strict hourly intake and output monitoring. Number 4, investigate the client's compliance with the medication regimen. Number 5, offer the client high-protein food during meal and snacks. 10 seconds to answer the question. All options are correct because analgesics should be given, and then the patient needs to encourage to discuss the feelings about the illness. Hourly intake and output monitoring should be initiated. Investigate the client's compliance with the medication regimen is also important. Offer the clients high-protein food during meals and snacks. Thank you for watching. If you're getting value from this content, please like and subscribe. It will help me to reach more people like you. See you then on my next video.